As the fate of the Site C Dam is being decided by Premier Horgan and the BC NDP cabinet, a new report from the Allied Hydro Council has cast doubt on some of the findings from the BC Utilities Commission, including the suggestion that other alternative power options are actually viable instead of the electricity we will get from Site C, or that we could simply divert power currently being sold to the US under the Columbia River Treaty. We also learned this past week that canceling the dam outright would result in at least a 10% rate hike for hydro customers. If you recall, last week the BCUC issued its report, and activists and opponents touted it as a big win and a potential linchpin to canceling the project outright. The Allied Hydro Council report, however, was penned by former Columbia Power Corporation CEO Lorne Sivertson. In it, he argued what most rational British Columbians already know, writing, quote, "If BC and Canada are to meet their greenhouse gas reduction commitments, the BC hydro resource supply will need to be expanded by the equivalent of 5 Site Cs," unquote. And we still think it's fine to suggest BC's approach to reducing emissions will actually have a negligible effect on the global picture, but this is the path all 3 levels of government across the nation are taking us down. So all we ask is let's be consistent. The Allied Hydro report also shredded the BCUC suggestion that alternatives to the electricity from Site C are feasible. BCUC suggested that BC could consider solar power as an alternate option. However, Allied Hydro states, quote, "There are currently no commercial solar power facilities in BC," unquote. How about wind power, the other mythological energy source environmentalists love so much? Quote, "It shows that to replace Site C with wind power would require 17 new wind plants at a capital cost of $4.1 billion and a unit of electricity cost of $104.40 per megawatt hour," unquote. So not only is wind unreliable and the cost so high, but just to ask people in Ontario how their hydro bills have been impacted with the push for wind and solar power. The Allied Hydro Council report also raises something I had not previously noted in BCUC's report, and that is very important. The BCUC report suggested BC can simply take the power it's currently selling to the US under the Columbia River Treaty back for domestic use here in the province. But Allied Council points out, quote, "The Columbia River Treaty can be revoked by the US, and that country under its current administration is now on a path of revoking a number of international agreements," unquote. Jim Quayle is an energy lawyer and a longtime union activist who is very close with the BC NDP, and he told Globe and Mail reporters on Wednesday that when it comes to the completion of the dam and the sunk costs already in the project, quote, "You lay the foundation, you start framing it, then you start thinking, maybe this isn't the house that I want. So maybe the option is I'll demolish it all and I'll start over with something else. You're not going to ignore the fact that you've already spent a third of the cost building your house because it's built in to your mortgage," unquote. So the key here is we know that some of the sunk costs have only increased due to the delays this year in sending this project off for review with the BC Utilities Commission. And according to a brand new Freedom of Information request, we've just confirmed that internal documents prepared for Energy Minister Michelle Mungle indeed show that the delay has cost taxpayers $630 million. Look, Site C must be built, and hopefully this trade union-backed report with many friendly faces to the BC NDP is enough to convince Premier Horgan as such. For the Rebel.media, I'm Christopher Wilson. There are 2,200 jobs on the line up at Fort St. John with the Site C project, so make sure you keep it locked to the Rebel.media and subscribe to the Rebel Canada YouTube page for all your updates.